so he throws him again. After that second death, he's down to 1 life. One more death, and it's over. So the protagonist asks what he wants now. The guy swears he'll do his best from here on, and says he absolutely can't die again. He has to avoid finishing last too, because that penalty would lower his level, and the skill he spent so much to buy would disappear. If you lose a level and no longer meet the requirements, the skill is gone. Seong points out how quickly his attitude changed. Then MC asks if he's trying that skill again. The mage fires a spell at him, but MC deflects it with ease and remarks that his fire control is actually pretty good. The mage confirms it's fire, and says fire mages are especially useful on maps like this. He adds that he's level 15, so surely Seong doesn't want to lose such a valuable ally. Watching from afar, finally remembers where she's seen him before. That's Kyung Il-hyuk, a mage from one of the top 10 guilds, but he failed 4 times to move up to silver. After that, he turned into a troublemaker, basically trash. Seong meanwhile relaxes a little, now that he understands what kind of person he is. But the mage still has a condition. He has to apologize for throwing him, and then he'll join in. The other guy hurriedly says that's great and that they should all do their best now. Still mad, the mage warns the protagonist to just wait. Next time, he'll die. So Seong grabs him by the collar again and gets ready to throw him. He asks if the guy really wants an apology. The mage is completely lost, and before he can react, Seong throws him again, saying people might start thinking he's the one picking fights, like he's swinging a baseball bat. MC launches him back down into the horde. He dies again, and he tells the others to move. Next time, that guy should learn some manners. The polite one in the back realizes Seong really killed him and goes speechless, clearly wanting nothing to do with this psycho. Just then, the zombies start climbing the wall. On the neighboring team, a mage burns them down with fire. Everyone praises it, exactly what you'd expect from a fire mage. The destructive power is impressive, and if this keeps up, they won't finish last. Someone jokes they might as well sit back and roast marshmallows. Meanwhile, the blonde guy with the protagonist says this is why they needed a mage, and asks what he plans to do now. He says Seong should have just let it go because now they'll all suffer for his pride. MC ignores that and opens his status window. His mission is to place first at all 10 towers with 1,000 achievement points as the reward. It's a chain mission, and even he hesitates for a second. There's another one too, Zombie Source. He has to kill 1,000 zombies by himself for 3,000 achievement points. He knows it sounds impossible because of the time limit, but the reward is too good to ignore. While he weighs the pros and cons, Im keeps watching him. Silently, she judges Siwing and thinks this is awful. Forget his reckless attitude, someone with stats like his choosing support makes no sense. Even casual players aren't this bad. She decides he isn't worth the Twin Stars Guild's attention. Then, as he looks down below, the blonde guy starts panicking and demands an answer, asking if he is ignoring him. If he's going to act like this, why not just fight alone? Siwing asks if he really can. The blonde says yes, and the protagonist thinks he might clear the quest if he keeps all the zombies to himself. But Im steps up and says she'll take the front, telling the support to stay in back. Even if this match is a mess, she still has to do her job. MC just says it's fine. She asks what he means, and he repeats that it's fine. He'll handle them himself. He tells the warrior to protect the archer. While they're still arguing, a red zombie with a huge head climbs onto the edge of the tower. The blonde immediately says it's a blood zombie, not like the normal ones. Its body is liquid, so physical attacks shouldn't work. You need the opposite kind of power. But before anyone can react, the zombie charges at Saiyan. He raises that little metal rod and beats it down hard, bursting straight through the monster and killing it. Im stares in shock as chunks of the zombie fall around them. That white sacred flame appears, and she wonders if it's divine power. Meanwhile, he keeps pushing his plan to combine both classes into one. As more zombies rush in, he drops them all with nothing but the rod. Then he goes down and starts wiping them out with absurd staff skills. He admits he doesn't know if he can finish it, but he has to try. By the time he climbs again, he's already at 6 kills out of the 1,000 he needs. Charging into the undead horde, he smashes them one after another. Most go down in a single hit. His count keeps climbing fast, but he's still only at 26. Sekyong realizes physical attacks won't work on blood zombies, so he plans to gather them first, then slowly release his divine power and wipe them all out at once. The others can only stare. The support is completely insane. The blonde thinks that if Sekyong is this good, who cares if he's a little rough? A guy like that deserves respect. Im is speechless too, watching him control divine power so perfectly without wasting any of it. That level of control shouldn't even be possible. And what shocks her most is that every strike lands exactly on the head. The zombies keep dropping one by one, and he reaches 210 kills, meeting the condition. He fully understands the otherworld relic, and his divine power rises to 7. Cedric starts laughing. He's figured out a different way to grow his divine power. He says this method is perfect. He remembers what relics are, sacred items. Back in 2010, when Earth's tutorial began, they sold for crazy prices because people thought they hid some secret. But even after 10 years, no one found it, so their value kept dropping. The otherworld relic especially was seen as useless, so most people didn't even know it existed. Still, Sophia once told him she raised her divine power with an otherworld relic. She was America's rank 3 player, so Soong paid attention. That revelation had shocked him. She told him her divine power evolved because of the relic, but said it wouldn't work once the tutorial ended. The protagonist had wondered if that was really possible. Sophia answered that of course it was. How else could she become a saint? According to her, if you keep using the relic under the right condition, your divine power can rise. Each relic has slightly different rules though. Sumung was amazed that almost nobody knew such an easy method. Sophia said it made sense. Even if someone heard the rumor, otherworld relics were so rare that finding one at all was hard. He realizes it only worked during the tutorial period, and that's why she could keep all those relics for herself. Then she remembered something else. She had exclusive info nobody else knew. There was one more person buying up otherworld relics, and MC guesses that player knew the secret too. After returning to the Sword Palace penthouse, he wrote it down. He notes that they were all otherworld relics, and most were empty because their divine power had already been absorbed. That explained what happened. The other player collecting those relics was the other saint he knew, his sister Jaya. He remembers that Jaya, along with Yuang-san and Jin, was one of Korea's best supports and a real hero. Her death is already in the past now. Thinking about the otherworld relics his sister left behind, he found that metal rod. Its description says that hitting the heads of Eretz will increase divine power. The way to use it is simple, and even though its rank fell and it has no divine power left to absorb, it's still as sturdy as ever, perfect for smashing things. Admits his physical skill is clearly amazing, but asks if this is really possible, because that level of energy control makes no sense. The blonde says it's incredible. The warrior from another tower already fell, yet they still got a high rank of 5. Then he asks why they aren't helping in the fight. But while he's standing there distracted, barely saves him from getting bitten by a zombie. Still killing zombies, Sung glances back and wonders what that was. He knew there was something familiar about her. Then it hits him. She's the Plum Blossom Sword. This is Im. She was once seen as a strong candidate to become the Sword King, but her story ended badly. She died at the hands of Si. Now Seung thinks he might end up saving the Plum Blossom Sword by chance. Im calls out to him asking if she can join the battle. If they fight together, she thinks they can aim for a higher rank. He opens his status window and sees 398 kills at rank 5. There's still a long way to go and not much time left. Still, if she's really the Plum Blossom Sword, then even without him, she can do more than just stand around. So he agrees and tells her to handle the top part. Then he jumps down, stunning both of them. They can only watch with their mouths open as he falls. Song pours sacred energy into the rod, activates it, and forces it to gather everything before detonating. The moment he lands, a massive shockwave explodes out and throws a huge number of undead into the air. The blonde is blown away by what the protagonist just did. It's incredible. They've taken first place, cleared the survival mission, and completed the quest to rank first in all 10 towers. Sogin says the reward was worth it, especially since he killed 1,500 zombies when he only needed 1,000. With that, the game ends. The blonde runs over, praising MC and thanking him for everything. He says he'll do it again once he gets stronger, while the blonde keeps thanking him for carrying them. Meanwhile, the protagonist wonders whether that mission will show up again. The blonde asks to team up next time, and looks down in disbelief, thinking this is ridiculous. That many enemies were killed by an unaffiliated player, a support, and one at a lower level than her. She starts wondering if this is some kind of bug. Sogin says he'll leave first, and everyone heads out. He's already thinking about collecting his reward. When calls out to him, he wonders why she's talking to him. Does he know her? He doesn't think they've met before. Thinks she has to talk to him. With his talent and what he's shown in 2 tutorials, he's someone the Twin Stars Guild needs right away. So, as a Twin Stars player, she just asks for his number. She means it as a recruitment offer, but doesn't say that part, then instantly gets embarrassed by what just came out. Sogin asks what she's even talking about. Her face turns red and she tries to fix it, realizing she explained everything in the worst order. In her head, the plan was to get his number after meeting him first, but she skipped a bunch of steps, so she quickly explains that she's with the Twin Stars Guild and that this is a recruitment offer, but MC flat out refuses. He says he doesn't remember his number right now, leaving her stunned. Then he says he'll tell her if they meet again and says goodbye. He walks off and is left behind asking what kind of excuse I forgot my number even is. Then she wonders if she just got rejected. Back in reality, Song is totally calm. Now that he thinks about it, he used an American phone number for a long time, so he really can't remember his Korean one. And it's not like he can ask someone else for his own number. Still, the important thing is that he got a recruitment offer. Looks like he stood out a little. He figures he could have gotten her number too, but he has no plans to join a guild right now. So he opens his status window. What matters now is the reward. His level went up by 2, and he got 1,500 GP. With the boost to his divine power too, that's not bad at all. He opens the GP shop and quickly sees 1,500 points isn't enough to buy any relic. Even in 2020, prices should have been lower, but not low enough for him. So he decides to head home and check his sister's storage again. Once he gets back, he goes there right away. But the moment he steps inside, he can tell something is off. Then he spots a shoe by the entrance and freezes in shock. Everyone has regrets, and after living twice, he has more than most. His body nearly shakes. He can barely believe this is happening. The biggest regret he carried was failing to protect someone important. Inside, a girl is surprised he's already awake. She had been waiting outside and asks how his hangover is. He thinks about all the things he wanted to tell her if they ever met again. He had so much he wanted to say, but she just tells him everything will be fine. He answers that she's strong and she proudly agrees. That's exactly why she'll protect him. He thanks her for that and apologizes for not being able to protect his niece, even after she told him to trust her. Losing her had broken him before, and even if it feels shameless, he truly wanted to see her again. She cuts through the silence, telling him to stop standing there and come in to wash his hands. Calling him uncle, she smiles. This girl is Senyj. He says her name again, Yamon Senyj. She's 17, the daughter of his sister, Yamon Senyj. He asks if she's already back from Jeju. She says she came back earlier than the others. He remembers raising her when his sister was too busy with work. She says everyone keeps talking about her father, and he recalls losing his whole family when he was still a little boy. Now it's just the two of them, and to him, she's his precious niece. He asks if her father called. She says yes, but there was more. According to her, he said he'd fallen in love. He tells her that's all she needs to know. She can't believe it. Was he crazy? Then she asks the real question. Was he abandoning her and leaving? He calmly says yes. That was the condition the woman gave before accepting his feelings. Sajin is stunned, and when the call ends, Soong is furious at that piece of trash. Still, he forces himself to calm down. The man has always been irresponsible garbage, the kind who'd throw away his country and his daughter for a woman. Thinking about how much innocent Sajin suffered because of that makes his anger flare again. Then she asks if he was the one who broke the picture frame, and he admits it. He apologizes, saying he was just too angry. After all, that man is still Sajin's father. Maybe he went too far. But then she asks why he got to do it first and throws another punch, smashing it even more. She says she wanted to do the same thing. She tells her uncle not to apologize, she's really okay. He thinks Sajin has always been like this. Even after her mother died and even after her father left, she kept smiling and worrying more about him than herself. But she doesn't need to keep doing that anymore. From now on, he tells her that she's grown up so much as he hugs her. She even knows how to take care of her uncle now. He tells her it's okay, while promising himself he'll protect her. Then he asks her not to push herself so hard. That finally makes her lower her guard a little. She thanks him but immediately says he reeks of alcohol, and he has to admit it. Meanwhile, back at the Twin Stars Guild, Hae bursts out laughing at Im Ga-young. Hae flying sinks in embarrassment and says she shouldn't laugh that hard. Hae flying apologizes, but Ga-young tells her to just laugh properly if she's going to do it. So Haeyeon cracks up, saying this is serious but also way too funny. Ga-young stays annoyed while Haeyeon is shocked that Sun Ji-han refused to give her his number. Sorry, I don't remember it is obviously a terrible excuse. Ga-young says there was nothing she could do. First impressions depend on looks, and unlike Haeyeon, she's not pretty. She even says she looks like a man. That makes Haeyeon stop laughing instantly. Now she realizes Ga-young is being serious. She asks if Ga-young has any idea how popular she is. People stare at her everywhere, whispering about the almond flower sword, while some guys wonder if they should ask for her number, only to back off because they'd probably get rejected. Haeyeon says if Ga-young says that out loud, people will get mad at her. Then they head into the room and Haeyeon says it's as comfortable as expected. Ga-young asks if she's planning to recruit Sun Ji-han. Haeyeon says she has to, no matter what. The old men told her the method doesn't matter, and the pressure is driving her crazy. Even so, Ga-young agrees he's someone they absolutely need. That makes Haeyeon pause. Then she looks at her phone and notices a live stream just started. She wonders why this person went live when there isn't even an important match today, and Ga-young asks if she's watching some gambling stream again. Haeyeon snaps back that it's not gambling, it's strategy analysis. Ga-young isn't convinced. Then they notice who it is. It's Sun Ji-han. On camera, he checks if the stream is live and Sejin tells him it looks fine on the phone. Ga-young asks if this is the prediction stream Haeyeon always watches, but Haeyeon brushes that aside. What matters is Sun Ji-han introducing himself as the Sword King's brother-in-law, leaving everyone stunned. He's filming right in the street and tells Sejin to step back for a second. She does. Then he raises his leg and calls on his holy power, aiming at the spot where the Sword King's memorial statue stands and crushes the whole base. Everyone watching is left speechless. He just destroyed the monument, and even that isn't enough for him. He pulls back his fist, then smashes the sword even more. The chat explodes with likes, dislikes, and non-stop comments, and the internet goes wild. As he feels refreshed, achievement notices start pouring in. Still furious, he says he'll now share his stance on the Sword King's naturalization. He also explains BattleTube, a streaming service tied to Battle.net. It's basically a major video platform inside Battle.net, where players can earn achievements and rewards through views, subscribers, and similar goals. He figures this is the perfect chance to cash in on rewards, especially as the Sword King's brother-in-law. The stream instantly pulls in viewers and even 10,000 dislikes, while people keep asking if that crazy guy really broke it with his bare hands. He glances aside and thinks that, as expected, he really did make people mad. In the end, that idiot Diego Saijin might actually be useful. More achievements pop up, along with a comment from someone using a black logo with twin swords. He recognizes it as someone from the Sword King's fan club, and remembers those fanatics were the ones who drove Saijin to her death. They supported Saijin more than anyone at first, but over time their support turned into resentment and rage, all aimed at his only blood relative. They started saying the Sword King left the country because of his daughter's sins. Then they claimed Saijin had to die for the Sword King to come back, and in the end, they really did kill her. So if they need someone to aim their hatred at, he'll be that target. He tells everyone to listen carefully, then punches the broken sword again before saying the Sword King Ito will not be coming back. The chat instantly fills with insults and angry questions while he steps closer to the camera. He says he's about to reveal something with no editing at all, the conversation Ryuhei had with his daughter after changing his citizenship. Then he plays the call where the man says he's in love and moved only because of that woman. Seijin asks her father if that really made it worth abandoning everything. He says yes because that was the condition she gave him to accept his love. As the recording plays, Seijin steadies herself. Then she faces the camera and says that as the Sword King's daughter, this whole situation is shocking and confusing for her too. But she came out here because she has something to say. Her father told her he plans to hand the Sword Palace over to her, but she refuses to accept anything from someone who abandoned both his family and his country. That's why she'll donate the Sword Palace building to the nation. He says he hopes the donation helps the growth and support of Korean players. The full details, he says, can come later. 30 minutes earlier, while making his plan, he told her to donate the building. The request threw her off, especially since he didn't seem drunk. She said it hurt to hear that and asked why they should give away their whole fortune. Had he lost his mind? He answered that he was completely sober. Then he admitted he honestly didn't know if he could convince her. Why would she ever agree to this? Donating, not selling a building most people could never buy in a lifetime sounded insane. But to protect Saich, he had to make it happen. After CA crushed Korea while fighting for Japan, public anger in Korea spiraled out of control. In the end, the government had no choice but to seize Saejin's entire fortune. That left CA with nowhere to go. Hounded by people and terrified of the Sword King fan club, she eventually took her own life. So if the property was going to be taken anyway, he would use it first to keep her safe and win some public support. Right now, CA only saw him as her drunk, jobless uncle. He couldn't exactly tell her he was his future self. Then she started to realize he was being serious. So she said it was fine. He asked if she was really okay with it. She shot back, asking why he was acting weird now that she'd agreed. He said it was because the idea was ridiculous. Still, she knew he wasn't the kind of person to say something like that without a reason. More than that, she said it had been a long time since she'd seen this confident side of her uncle. That completely stunned him. He wondered who she took after. Back in the present, he thought she was amazing. The messages kept pouring in while he thought things over. This was how it had to be. They needed to keep targeting him. If that continued, those insane fans might leave C alone. But he knew he had to make it even clearer, so he spoke up again. Addressing Saejin, he said this was honestly for the best. Saejin might have claimed it was all because of a woman, but anyone who really knew him would know better. Hearing that, the girl got nervous. This was not part of the plan. Then he brought up the old Saejin and called out to him. Wherever he was, did he really think no one knew why he ran off to Japan? It was because he wasn't confident he could keep living in Korea. That shocked everyone. He then warned Saejin to watch himself in Japan, because the moment he saw him, he'd take him down. Tearing off his sleeve, he threw out a bold challenge. After that, everything exploded. Later at home, Saejin asked if he really had to go that far. Both Korea and Japan were in chaos. He told her not to stress over it and just ignore the mess. But she said something was definitely different about him. It felt like he'd become a different person overnight. He joked that of course he seemed different. How could anyone stay the same after dying once and going back to the past? Then he tried to play it off, asking if he'd really seemed like a washed-up drunk lately. She asked why he was bringing that up now. It made sense, but this was not the time. Then the doorbell rang. Both of them tensed up. She wondered who it could be. While he was surprised, it was earlier than expected. Then she asked if someone had come for him. He told her to relax. It wasn't that. In fact, now it was time to make some money. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, people were talking about how relations between Korea and Japan would get even worse. Now that the king had become a Japanese citizen, they said Korea had every reason to be furious after losing its strongest player. The woman beside Saejin asked if all of that was bothering him. He asked if she had just woken up, and she said she was fine. She'd slept enough already. Then she said she was more worried about how hard this would be on him. Saejin told Ito that she didn't need to call him Saejin anymore. He had chosen to become the king, but she refused and said he was wrong. To her, he was still Saejin, the #1 ranker in Korea, the Sword King. He looked at her and she said that truth would never change. Then she told him she loved him and kissed him, still calling him dear with all her affection. Back with the protagonist, he opened the door and greeted the man outside. The visitor politely addressed Song and said it almost looked like he had expected him. With a smug answer, he said things had gotten big enough that the government sending someone was only natural. He even called the man by name Park Yeon-sek, a section chief. The office had basically shut down after Saejin left, but no one had handled this matter more than those two men. Saejin then greeted the section chief too. Song got straight to the point, asking if they were here to take everything they needed. Park said the stream had been a bit extreme, but he liked it. Thanks to that broadcast, the government had finally reached a conclusion. They could no longer bring the Sword King back. At least the protagonist thought. They understood that much. Park added that they couldn't keep pushing this forever, especially with tensions between Korea and Japan rising. So MC asked if they were going to get to the point or not. Park said he had come to ask for the return of the Sword Palace. Once the government received it, everyone would likely accept that the Sword King was not coming back. That surprised Park too. Soaring had read the situation perfectly. He couldn't help wondering if this was really the same loser from before, since he clearly remembered a clueless unemployed gambler. Park explained that they still hadn't fully given up on the Sword King's return. Instead of putting the palace directly under government ownership, they wanted to place it under entrusted management. In other words, they would run and protect it until the owners came back. He had to admit it was a smart idea. So he asked if they would return the deed if the Sword King came back. Park said yes, exactly that. That was also why they wanted the two of them to keep living in the Sword Palace. He said the terms were good for both sides and asked the protagonist to read everything carefully before giving an answer. The protagonist could tell they had put a lot of thought into this. He'd been planning to just hand the place over, so getting something in return was even better. Then he said he understood the government's position, but before signing, he needed one favor. Park asked what he meant. Even CA looked confused, but MC said he wanted. Sometime later, the Golden Light streamer went live. He greeted everyone and cheerfully welcomed them in. He said it was nice looking down on them from up high, because today's stream was at the Blood and Dust Coliseum. He bragged that the deep-sea expert everyone knew had dropped into the arena, then made a flashy entrance. He drew a huge sword and struck a dramatic pose, though he didn't look all that impressive. Then he started rambling, calling it a donation right after the game began, and thanking the viewers like crazy while acting completely ridiculous. Everyone thought he looked absurd. Then the chat got annoyed. They had hoped he'd disappear, but here he was again. People started talking about him, calling him a famous streamer with a pretty face, endless energy, and the attitude of an evil troll. He used to be a promising gold player, but he dropped to bronze on purpose to make content called Deep Sea Exploration. He had given up real competition just to have fun trolling people. He joked that apparently people really did live at the bottom of the sea. Even if he was in Bronze League, his stats and gear were still gold rank. He was known for enjoying the slaughter of weaker players. He tried to claim he wasn't that bad, but the chat called him even worse, a total psycho. Then he declared that the warm-up was over and asked who would be Golden Light's first victim today. After that, he started checking the players around him. That was when he noticed some perfect stream material, the protagonist standing there holding something. The chat immediately started making fun of Sugim, while Golden Light walked straight over to him. He asked if he could spare a moment for an interview. He was baffled, while the streamer introduced him as the Sword King's brother-in-law, the strongest player in Bronze League and the man who smashed the twin sword statue, a guy who had been grabbing attention under all kinds of names. He realizes the guy is a BattleTube streamer, loud and annoying. Then he remembers he still has a bunch of BattleTube achievements he never claimed, so he decides he might as well start a stream too. He goes live, and while he's doing that, Golden stays next to him, filming his face and whining about being ignored. The chat immediately starts talking about Song, shocked that he opened his own stream right in front of him. That gets Golden mad. To him, it looks like he's helping boost the protagonist's fame, so he says he needs to turn MC into content fast before his views drop. Then a mission pops up. Sword King's love wants him to kill him and make sure he finishes last. Reward 2,000 GP. That shocks him, since 1 GP is basically $1. 2 grand just like that. He wonders who would post something like this. Maybe Sword King's fan club. Then people start raising the reward. He says he knew they hated Song, but not this much. As the prize keeps climbing, he gets more and more stunned. Soon the mission reward reaches 31,978 GP, and it keeps going up. He's shocked it's already close to 40k and figures it might even hit 50k. Then all the players are summoned, and the match begins. The total stops at 42,000 GP, and he's annoyed it didn't quite reach 50k, until one fan from Sword King's group adds one more promise. If he really kills Suing, he'll donate another 10k GP. That fires Golden up completely. He declares that the viewer's burning wish has reached their streamer, while thinking he squeezed a nice pile of money out of those idiots. Then he tells the protagonist not to panic, because from this moment on, Lord Golden is ending his game. He activates Conjure, a skill that launches the user forward at high speed. He uses it to send the protagonist straight to the afterlife. He's all excited about it too, but Sayek turns around at once and lands a brutal counter. Golden's sword is knocked into the air and he just stares in disbelief, asking what happened. MC says his little sword is way tougher than he expected, and this is the Kitchen Set Club, a D-rank weapon. He's surprised it didn't break even after taking a full hit. Then he says it would only be polite if he returned the favor. Seong charges straight at the blonde guy, pouring sacred power into the club. In a flash, he tears right through him, cutting him to pieces. The blonde streamer can't believe it, and neither can the chat. They start asking if that's Sword King's power, and some even wonder if it's divine power. Others refuse to believe that guy is bronze tier. And just like that, he gets the first kill and earns 10 achievement points. Covered in sacred energy, Seung uses that D-rank kitchen set knife to finish off a guy with gold level stats. That makes him think it's been a while since he last cooked. Looks like he just cooked a chicken. Meanwhile, the blonde guy starts rambling that he fell into a dark void where all his light disappeared. But the darker the night, the brighter the light. Then he announces that he's back, free of charge. It was the Resurrection Cross one-time use and banned in national leagues, promotion series, guild battles, and other major events. so even after dying, he comes right back. He says he let his guard down and showed an embarrassing side of himself, but if they wait a bit, they'll see him chop off Song's head. The problem is, the protagonist is already right behind him. The second he notices, that smug grin starts to vanish. MC kills him again and scores a double kill. He comments that he hasn't seen anyone use that item in a while. In the future, people use it because of an exploit, not the death penalty. But something else matters more right now. The place felt louder than usual because there are some powerful spectators watching. This time, he notices it's the elves. He calls them nasty little pests, and remembers they played a big part in humanity's destruction too. Still, he was planning to deal with that later. First, he needs to handle what's right in front of him. So he asks if the others are excluding him or something, because the moment they see him, they all start running. One of them yells that now isn't the time to fight each other. They just need to run, because Seo is even killing Gold League players. He figures that makes hunting way less efficient. He came all this way and even got a D-rank relic, so he needs to test it more and find out whether it has a trigger condition or not. Then a mission appears and everyone wonders what it is. It's a normal quest, Goblin Subjugation. He has to wipe out the goblins gathered around the Goblin Champion. He calls it a nice surprise just as the goblins rush him. Then he starts driving them back in fear, killing them one by one at close range. First he smashes with the club, then finishes with the knife, cutting through them with ease. The system says he's using the relic correctly, and the D-rank kitchen set reacts. He realizes this is the right method. Crush the head first, then cut the heart. Since it's a gear set, there's a proper order to use each piece. He's glad he figured that out before the match ended. Still, he thinks it took too long. If he'd learned it a little earlier, there would have been more goblins left. Then again, it doesn't really matter, because it's not over yet. The Goblin Champion is standing right in front of him, basically a 2-meter ogre. He was going to read the full description, but it's ridiculously long, so he skips it and moves on. Seong charges the goblin and drops it with one hit, slamming its face into the ground. Then he asks, so what if it's big? That's all it is. He goes straight for the heart, clears the subjugation mission, earns 500 achievement points, and gains another point of divine power. Then the items react again, and the set changes from D rank to E rank. He figures that now they're E rank, he can probably gain divine power from them again. But hunting with them really is slow, so he realizes he'll need to hunt players after all, since they ran far away. He says it's annoying, but there's no other choice. If the mountain won't come to him, he'll go to the mountain. And he looks terrifying. Nothing holy about that sacred energy anymore. It's pure hate. The chat finally says they can breathe again because they'd been holding it in, and they point out how dead serious he looks. Meanwhile, in Yeoksam, Gangnam, Seoul, the blonde streamer is at home yelling in frustration. He curses the protagonist, saying he attacked him out of nowhere. Didn't he even praise him as a good streamer? Then he asks if the protagonist is weak. No, he's insanely strong. He can't stop trying to analyze what happened. MC's estimated stats are now Strength 33, Agility 37, Vitality 36, and Magic Power 34. Golden says that even the stats he gained during the Goblin fight average around 35, but the Bronze League cap is 25, so how does 35 make any sense? He starts saying he must be hacking, but then he hears a weird noise and looks back at the screen, noticing Seorang killed another player. He wonders where that dying pig sound came from. When he looks closer, he jumps in shock. The protagonist is doing the same thing to players that he did to the goblins, striking the head and then the heart, beating them down in a terrifying way. Golden can only ask what kind of massacre this suddenly turned into. MC keeps going, double, triple, then quadra kill. People call it pure art, and ask how he killed 4 guys in a single rush. Then he keeps going, in an insane streak, finishing a pentakill. Now everyone says fighting each other is pointless. They tell the others to hand over buffs and tools because they need to work together if they want any chance of killing him. Before long, they start calling Seong a hacker. They tell him to get out, but he quickly deflects every arrow coming at him, striking each one and knocking it off course. Everyone is left stunned, and they can barely believe what they just saw. After Song scores another double kill, almost nobody is left. The chat goes wild, and the system says the E-rank kitchen set has reacted. He gains another point of divine power, but the set's rank drops from E to F. That also completes the 10-kill Coliseum mission, earning him 5,000 achievement points. With the divine power and points, he got what he wanted. Still, he says it's nowhere near enough, he needs something much bigger. Then he notices an epic mission. Find the Shadow Queen among the Coliseum spectators and provoke her. He's shocked an epic quest appeared in Bronze League. But what really catches his eye is the reward, interest from the Shadow Queen constellation. That makes him think about what constellation interest means. Constellations are absolute beings tied to stars, basically godlike existences. If one of them takes interest in you, it can lead to sponsorship and give you powers you normally could never get. That's usually only possible after reaching at least diamond rank, and yet the chance just appeared for him now. He tells himself he has to earn that interest no matter what. If one constellation notices him, others will start watching too. Still, he wonders if he can even find her. The Shadow Queen has to be hiding somewhere among all those elves, so all he can do is stare and guess who she might be. The system announces that Song's achievement in the Coliseum was 10 kills, putting him in first place. It was the first time anyone in the country had done that since Songs and Jin. so the news spread fast through forums and social media. Because of that, the stream shot up to 10,000